Hi, gonna try and make this one as quick as possible, really, simply because this episode was terrible. So yeah, this is episode 6 of series 13, called The Vanquishers, when it should have been called They Fluxed It Up. Yeah, shocking. I'll go through this in order again. I'll try and make it as quick as possible so you have less pain. We were left with a cliffhanger where the Doctor was about to be killed by Swarm, and she skillfully got out of that by dodging sideways and running away. I don't know if anyone can remember that Swarm can instantaneously transport to places and can kill people without touching them, but apparently now he can only kill people with touching them. Meanwhile, the Sontarans breaking in where Dan, Joseph, Professor Jericho and Yaz were, and they start shooting everywhere and can't hit a fucking thing, as per standard, even though no one is firing back at them. And then Yaz stands up in the middle of the firefight, still they can't hit her, swings a rope, opens the laser door, which then fires kind of electricity and lasers, which knocks all the Sontarans out, and then the door just slams itself shut. Utterly stupid. Don't do cliffhangers if you can't do payoffs, Chibnall, because you can't do payoffs. So the Doctor is with Swarm and Azure, yammering on at them, and she just kind of walks round and goes and talks to the Ood and is secretly kind of hushed talking to him while Swarm and Azure are kind of mocking her a bit. I was like, well, you were just trying to kill her. And then the Ood takes the device off that keeps her where she is. He says he'll transfer her back to where Artron energy is. And just as she takes it off, Swarm grabs her head to kill her again. She then gets split into 3. One of them arrives on Space Dog's ship, where Space Dog and Belle are. One of them arrives back in the tunnels, and one remains with Swarm and Azure. I'll try and deal with these as easily as I can, but it was chopping and chopping and chopping as standard, which I guess you can understand given that we were seeing it from different perspectives of the Doctor. And if you thought one Doctor was bad enough, Jesus. On the ship with Carvanista and Belle, another bit I forgot, probably because it's so abjectly stupid, is that the Doctor takes control of Carvanista's ship and flies it directly at the command ship of the Sontarans. The Sontarans put up a force field, obviously, and instead of smashing against it and being destroyed or careering and bouncing off it, it gets trapped like a fly in amber. Because that's what force fields always do. Just makes absolutely perfect sense. Bollocks. The Doctor and the Carvanista get captured, or allow themselves to get captured, so that Belle can sneak on the ship and sneak around a bit. So they get captured. One of the Sontarans comes in and tells Carvanista that his entire species has been wiped out. Bearing in mind, his entire species are on 7 billion ships surrounding the planet. Yep, 7 billion ships. They've all been ejected into space, and the Sontarans have taken over the ships. This should have been really quite an emotional, powerful scene. Oh, I forgot to say there's an exchange between the Doctor and Carvanista about whether Carvanista was one of her companions, and he can't say because he's got a chip in his head that will kill him. Personally, I don't know why she doesn't waft her little sonic screwdriver, because that solves every fucking thing under the sun, but she doesn't. Yeah, so Carvanista's people just die, and Carvanista howls, and it's painful. Presumably it's kind of supposed to invoke the pain of the feelings, and it's just such a pathetic howl. I don't know why they didn't do something a bit more animalistic. I mean, I remember a scene from Star Trek The Next Generation where Worf's partner dies, or the mother to his son, and that was a guttural roar of pure rage and passion, and that's what it needed instead of kind of like a howl. The Doctor's taken away by the Grand Serpent, who tortures her a bit, and Belle's tinkering. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Doctor's jabbering like a lunatic. Kate turns up, doesn't do a lot through the whole programme, just sort of says, "Hi, I'm Kate, that's the TARDIS." Then the Doctor comes up with a plan. Apparently, Sontarans, they'd got a device that was using people to psychically trying to figure out when the next flux was going to happen, and they were getting them from corner shops, because apparently Sontarans like chocolate. And there's a really embarrassing scene with a Sontaran filling his face with chocolate, and the Doctor persuading the Sontaran to take Claire and the Professor, because Claire's actually a seer, so she could actually achieve something and survive the experience because humans are being killed by it. Yeah, I know. It's such a shame that they didn't have a previous episode with the Sontarans where they could have actually established that Sontarans like chocolate, so this would have been some form of payoff. Claire and Jericho are taken away, taken to the Sontaran ship, plugged in, screaming, ah, because it hurts. And again, magical convenience device. Such a plot contrivance. Where's this come from? Where's this machine that can predict the future suddenly come from? Because if the Sontarans actually had that, they could have never been beaten. It's just bullshit. And the Doctor knowing that they like chocolate. Again, where's that come from? Doctor's being tortured. The other Doctor turns up and rescues herself, waving a sonic screwdriver around because somehow that imprisons the Grand Serpent. At some point, we go inside the passenger where Diane, who is Dan's maybe girlfriend, and Vinda. Diane has somehow magically figured out how all of this works within this particular passenger, because it's a vast area, but the scene and the landscapes keep changing if you hit the barrier of the landscape. And she's figured out that you dig a hole and you can get thrown out of it. I mean, I literally don't know how a woman who works in a museum can figure all that lot out, but obviously she's amazing, and she gets told that she's amazing because that's what happens in Doctor Who. So they get kicked out. Vinda rings the Doctor, come and get us. They get sucked back in, and then the Doctor arrives, tries to persuade passenger to let them out, but then use her TARDIS to go inside passenger. Not sure how that particularly works. Another contrivance, because why not just do that in the first place? But anyway, and then they get back to Earth. They're all in the TARDIS. Big reunion between Vinda and Belle. Yay. The two Doctors are chatting away, kind of slightly flirting with each other. If you thought one Jodie was bad, try two. Apparently the Sontarans' plan is to lure the Cybermen and the Daleks to a particular place because they find out where the flux is going to start again, thanks to Claire. So the plan is then that they'll allow the flux to kill them, and then the Lopari ships will shield the Sontaran fleet from the advancing flux, as it shielded the Earth. And there's a bit where the Grand Serpent tries to find Kate, and Vinda makes him go through a door where he's just standing on a big rock in the middle of space. And the door disappears, because apparently that's what they do now. So basically the Grand Serpent ends up being a complete nothing of a villain in the end. He had this quite cool idea, infiltrate unit, get in a position of power, destroy certain cities, allow the Sontarans to attack. And then he just ends up being a kind of easily provoked idiot. The Doctor and Space Dog get on a Lupari ship. The Space Dog takes control of all of the ships. So when the Daleks and Cybermen advance towards where the Sontaran fleet is, declaring peace, the Sontarans kind of laugh. The shield behind them, which should protect them from the flux, moves to behind the Sontarans. Apparently the idea is that the flux is antimatter, and that by feeding it matter, as much matter as possible, will slow it down and stop it, which is not how antimatter works. So that's just very bizarre. The Sontaran is going to feed the fleets of Daleks and Cybermen to the flux to stop it, which is nonsense, because apparently the Lupari ships constantly emit matter which stopped the flux previously from taking the Earth. I mean, this is utter complete nonsense. We've had nonsense in Doctor Who before, but this is a cumulative thing where it's nonsense layered on nonsense, layered on nonsense, layered on contrivance, layered on MacGuffin. The flux kills the Daleks and the Cybermen. The Sontarans are there, and the flux is advancing on them as well because the Doctor's just letting them die. I mean, fuck them. Why would you save them? I mean, the Doctor just basically allows genocide to happen, almost actively participates in it. Unfortunately, she tells Claire and Professor Jericho to use their transmat rings to get off the ship. Transmat rings? Anyone? They've been mentioned before? Nope. Claire's works. The professor's get knocked out of his hand, gets destroyed, so he can't leave. So he dies, which is a real shame because I liked his character, and he actually gets a bit agency back in this one after being comic relief in the previous one. Clearly it was another contrivance to try and garner an emotional response in a pretty hollow episode. It didn't really do that, it was just disappointment for me. The Sontaran fleet then all get destroyed. Nice bit of genocide from the Doctor. The Carvinister's shield starts getting breached by the flux. How? Because wasn't the point of the shield that it already stopped one flux from destroying what it was shielding? Yeah. Somehow the Doctor teleports a passenger in front of the Flux, and the passenger absorbs it all, destroying both of them. I don't know how she summoned a passenger, since the passenger had just fucking ignored her 5 minutes ago, but apparently she did. Meanwhile, the Doctor with Swarm and Azure, after he's tried to kill her twice, they suddenly, they're just tinkering and kind of ignoring her. Then they make her look at the fob watch, and then they seem to transport themselves into the memories with the Doctor, although she hasn't accessed the memories yet, because somehow this doesn't work like a normal fob watch. She's got to kind of go into a metaphorical house to see them. And Swarm keeps destroying the house, rebuilding it, destroying it. Where do these powers come from? Again. So they're saying, what we're going to do is torture like this forever. Right, so you tried to kill her twice, now you're going to torture her forever like this. And then they announce that what they're going to do is they're going to have the Flux destroy the universe. They're going to rewind time and then have it destroy the universe, and do this constantly just for their entertainment. And they're babbling on about death and life and non-existence being a great thing. Yeah, pretty standard generic villain bollocks. And then they decide they're going to sacrifice her to time, because the Flux will destroy everything, and the end point is the Temple of Atropos on the planet Time. And they're going to sacrifice her to time when time is freed by the Flux. Yeah, I don't know why that would actually happen, but apparently. So then they go to the planet Time, they're outside the temple. Time becomes corporeal and looks like Swarm. The Mori were controlling time. Time hadn't been freed because the plan didn't work, because the Doctor stopped the Flux. So how was Time able to do that? Time unceremoniously just kills Swarm and Azure in a most unsatisfactory way, then mocks the Doctor a little bit by transforming into the Doctor, and tells her that time's not forever and her time will come. Then somehow Time manages to reunite all of the Doctors. Never explained, like many things. Bell and Vinder fuck off with Space Dog for some reason. Dan's girlfriend Diane is an utter arsehole to him. She doesn't want to go out with him now because he was late. I could understand it if she didn't want to go out to him because of the bullshit that went on. But no, it's because he was late, because he was kidnapped by a space dog. Just a really weird thing. So he wanders off and goes off with the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, yay! And I was just watching it thinking to myself, Swarm and Azure had a good start, and then they just turned into these bullshit nonsense characters. Dan was never a good character. What the hell was Diane even in it for? What was the point of Bell and Vinder? Because the baby ended up being nobody and nothing. Whether they'll revisit them, I don't know, but they just ended up being a whole heap of nothing. They interacted with the plot, but it wasn't really that necessary. I suppose it gave a view of what was going on in the universe and the sheer level of utter destruction through the universe, but that's about it. Joseph Williamson just kind of walked back through one of the doors, so we go back into history. The Grand Serpent was another dud. Kate needn't have bothered being there. Professor Jericho was an emotional sacrifice that was wasted. I was just sitting there thinking to myself, hang on a second. I can't remember how much, but let's say, I think some people have been saying 90%, but the 90% of the universe has been destroyed. The Carvanista species has been wiped out. There are cities on Earth that have been destroyed because they were targeted by UNIT, as ordered by the Grand Serpent. And the Doctor's just fucking off for a jolly. Why didn't the Doctor just say, there's people who need our help, let's go and help them? That would have been at least some sense of morality. She's just committed genocide 3 times over. So it would have been some form of morality for the Doctor to sort of say, we need to help people. No interest in helping people. Massive moral ambiguity again. Chibnall cannot make a landing. This was really ropey. Most of the questions weren't answered, or certainly not answered to any form of satisfaction. So many plot contrivances, MacGuffins, and loads of exposition as well. Shocker. Lots of bangs and flashes with no substance. Bangs and flashes to hide the fact that there was no substance and it didn't make sense. Typical Chibnall. I forgot to say, when the Doctor meets up with Yaz and Dan tells the Doctor that Yaz has been amazing, and Yaz makes some psyche comment as like, well, would be nice if you said something nice about Dan, No, you just kind of, you're going soft. Okay, thanks, Yaz. Again, is it something about Chibnall in his finals? Somebody has to tell Yaz that she's amazing. She's not. I've not seen anything of her being amazing. I forgot to mention, inside the TARDIS, they kind of do this Doctor and Yaz scene where the Doctor's saying, oh, I should have told you. And there's an element where, you know, kind of they're so close to each other, it looks like they're going to kiss. And that's obviously what they're trying to infer. But the first few episodes, they were sniping at each other and the Doctor told Yaz to shut up. Where's this suddenly come from? In the last series, we had the Doctor completely, really disinterested in the companions. And in this one, they've kind of been hostile, if anything, towards each other. And now all of a sudden there's this massive connection. Chibbers cannot build characters. It's shocking. And Yaz is still a hollow, empty, grumpy nothing. I forgot to mention, after the heart-to-heart between the Doctor and Yaz, it was revealed that the Doctor has the fob watch, which she then drops into the TARDIS and tells the TARDIS to hide it from her, unless she really wants it. For me, this was a massive fail of a landing of a series. Stuff dumped in to explain stuff that doesn't make sense and never makes sense. Characters wasted. A villain that started off well just turned into a mustachio twirling nothing. But yeah, I'm going to stop because I'm going to repeat myself as with the previous one. But it was just such a complete and utter wasted opportunity of what has been probably the best of the 3 Chibbers series. But, you know, that's like comparing horse shit to dog shit, really, and saying which one's the best. I'll leave you with the plug to my comic. Just a quick reminder that my comic, Marked, a 228-page graphic novel, is available from Indiegogo. The link is in the description below. I'd love your support. Thank you very much, and peace out.